Hey everybody, welcome back. You can probably tell from the new leaves on the trees that this video was not filmed recently. It was actually filmed last spring. And you're probably wondering, Robert, why haven't you released this in those 6 months? And the short answer is perfectionism. When I finished filming this video, I got home and I had a hard time piecing together all the footage that I had. I wanted to tell this story or this lesson about planning for good weather and coming away with good photographs. But the problem is, photography is not something I typically plan for. It's usually a reactionary thing where I'm already out traveling or experiencing something new, and I have my camera with me, and I use my camera to document that in the best way possible. I just start walking and I take photographs, right? And sometimes they're great and I share them, and sometimes they are garbage and I don't, and sometimes they're garbage and I do share them. But photography and outdoor recreation are some of the areas of my life where I don't need perfect circumstances. That kind of changed when I started this YouTube channel, and I didn't realize it initially. And this is only my second YouTube video, by the way. I wanted everything to be so perfect when I started out, so that I could be as successful as possible. And I think I knew then that it was an unrealistic expectation, but regardless, I kept waiting for perfect circumstances to film and release content under, and they didn't come. You know why? Because they don't exist. But I didn't admit that, and I refused to work on anything new until this project was complete. I was so dogged about it. I was going to finish this and then check it off, and I was going to go on and do everything in this wonderful, perfect order. But I was uninspired about this project, and I didn't know how to progress. And eventually I just got so sick of waiting, though, and I opened the thing up and I started watching the footage. And there was this one clip that I had forgotten about, and watching it, this whole experience was kind of like, it was this sci-fi time travel kind of a thing, where my past self in the clip that I had filmed was telling my current self to just get over it and go out and do stuff. That hit me. It woke me to what I needed to do. So I planned this trip out to the Pacific Northwest, and I decided to go out and go hiking and camping and taking photos and having a really good time. And this was all during the autumn. This happened in October. And I just did what I loved, and I took control of my situation. I didn't wait for good photos to fall into my lap. I went out in the nasty conditions that fall often brings, and I just started shooting. And I got some good photos and I got some bad ones, and it doesn't really matter because I had a really good time. But if you're interested in that, I'll be posting those videos over the course of the next few weeks. So consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see what happened when I was out there. With that, I'll talk more about this at the end of the video, or I'll show you the clip that inspired me to go out, and then a voiceover after that, which also inspired me to go out. So that'll be at the end. But for now, I want to talk about what's happening in the video, because this is also kind of relevant to what's happening. I was waiting for these perfect circumstances at the top of this mountain, because it was the video was about planning, right? So I wanted the sun to be coming in a certain direction and then hit the clouds just right, and it wasn't happening. So I waited and I waited, and I just decided to hang it out, and I would just, be persistent and wait for something good to happen, but it wasn't happening. But eventually it did come. So it's kind of ironic, because I did have perfect circumstances at the end, but at the time I didn't know that. But the perfect circumstances came because I was there, and that's the whole point. And so now I'll just leave you to the rest of the video. Enjoy. Thanks. Like, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. You know, even if the light wasn't going off right now, even if this wasn't a good shot, it would have still been worth it to come out here and do this. It's always worth it to go outside. Most of my best shots have been when I've been just wandering and not planning anything. But when you put that planning element in it, making it probable that you'll get a good shot, it just makes it that much more rewarding when it all works out. You'll probably hear me say this more than once, but photography is all about exposure. I'm not talking about exposure with light necessarily, but I'm talking about exposure to whatever it is that you're shooting. If you're a street photographer, you need to be out there in the streets all the time to be able to capture that moment when it happens. And when you're a landscape photographer, you need to be out in the wild, experiencing nature and understanding how weather patterns work and just be there to react when something happens. So I'm going to help myself out here and kind of sum up what I was going to say. Planning is great, don't get me wrong, and we need to plan or we'll get nothing done, right? But if we focus so much on only going out when the weather is going to be perfect, we're going to miss out on the serendipity that makes photography and everything else in life so interesting and rewarding. Don't be afraid of doing things under imperfect circumstances, because who knows, you might find that the imperfect circumstance is actually the ideal one. Or you'll find that the perfect situation only happened because you went out in those imperfect conditions and there was this eye in the storm or this gap in the clouds that enabled you to do what you wanted to do. If I could sum it all up in one sentence, I think what I would choose is to make sure that you're there. Just be there.